I've recently come to the conclusion that I'm probably the happiest that I've ever been right now, which might seem it might seem different from a lot of what you see on social media nowadays, where people often go to platforms to complain or spread negativity or to vent. I see that a lot, and I pretty much try to limit that exposure to that, because that can definitely be something that gets inside your mind as well. But yeah, pretty much just looking back throughout my life, I'd say, I can't complain too much about my childhood, but there are issues with, being a child where you don't have as much control over your life. A lot of your life is designed for you, and that's still important because, you don't know much at that age and you need to have guidance. But yeah, I'd say pretty content with where I'm going. And I'd say the other only argument for a specific time where I could have been the same level of happiness or happier is my first year of college. I think that may or may not be the same case for other people. Oftentimes that's, for me, it was, the first time of experiencing independence, being on your own. You get to meet a ton of new people. You get a completely different set of opportunities that you haven't experienced. And yeah, it's just, especially your freshman year, you probably aren't thinking as much about, your finances, your student debt, because it hasn't been building up. And you usually have a meal plan and a dorm. Pretty much everything is set out for you to have a comfortable and easy experience in that first year. So I definitely really enjoyed that time in my life, but I'd say there was some ignorance along with that. I feel like there's a lot of things I've learned from that time to now. And yeah, ignorance is bliss, but it's kind of nice to get the bigger picture and be on the other side where you're trying to learn from your mistakes and you understand more of the context now. So yeah, I've heard that, I think it's like 19 through 22, sometimes those are the hardest years of your life. And that might be because it's the first time that you might be on your own. It could be very lonely depending on how you respond to that. And yeah, it's obviously, you're at the very start of adulthood, and that can be very challenging and stressful. And actually, I felt like it was the hardest moment of my life this past fall semester. It's almost a year ago now. I made the change of my college major from architecture to engineering, and it was a really stressful moment for me, both financially and academically, because I hadn't used calculus or physics since high school, and I had to get back into that. And yeah, obviously, like I said before, college expenses are racking up, and yeah, I felt like it was a very stressful time, and I didn't have the best system for combating that stress. I would oftentimes go to social media as a default for comfort and consumption of content and entertainment. It's very easily accessible, but with that comes, really, to me, it wasn't much of a benefit, if at all. It was probably, a net negative, where in the end you realize you wasted your time and you didn't actually gain much from that. You might have ended up having a worse mood at the end of that. So yeah, after that semester, I felt like it was a really important time for me during that winter break to reflect on what needed to change, because I couldn't keep going like that. So I did a lot of research on how to study and how to avoid procrastination, and I'd say that I've really improved on that, where I know the best practices for studying, how to enjoy it, and also with procrastination, how to avoid that, how to be proactive and just get stuff done. And that's really reduced my stress and made me feel, it's part of why I feel so happy, is because I've eliminated those issues, at least to a large extent. So pretty much what has made me happy is limiting those distractions, cutting out things that aren't important in your life, like overuse of social media. For me, that was really big. At the end of the day, you're probably not remembering what you consumed, and it's not, making you feel happier, usually. Also, organizing my time. I've really developed my time management skills, and I felt like that's really improved my focus on what I'm supposed to accomplish, and also it's reduced my stress, because I have pretty much my day planned out the day before, so I know exactly what to do when I wake up, and also potentially my week planned out, or just have a general sense of what's going on. So I think clarity is very important, and just eliminating uncertainty can be super beneficial to happiness, at least in my case. And with that, I feel like if you do create more organization, you kind of understand where you're going and what priorities you have, like what really matters to you, what is a purpose of yours. So yeah, I think those are really important for improving your mood, being content. I'd also say I've used gratitude as well, through journaling. That's another way of organizing, but that's more of your mind. So yeah, gratitude kind of puts you in context of what's going well for your life, being grateful for what you have, and it shifts your mindset to a positive one, where that really builds on your motivation and everything you need to improve, pretty much. Exercise also is very important. I had a pretty busy schedule for my spring semester, but I tried to stay very consistent with going to the gym or running, and that definitely helped. It was honestly one of many of the days that was my favorite part of the day, was just getting an hour to let your brain rest from the stress of college, and focus on physical exertion, which actually helps your brain as well. And then I'd say the final thing is prioritizing sleep. I'm still working on that, but trying to get adequate sleep is very important. If you design your life around sleep as a priority, you'll feel more focused during the day, and you won't be as sluggish when you wake up. And yeah, if you really set a time frame for when your bedtime is, that's very helpful. Makes you feel more consistent, and yeah, I feel like all these pieces of advice I feel like are going to improve your happiness.